G'day guys, it's Rosini16 and I'm here today to bring you another episode of Gunning for Glory. Now, last episode was the draft. We didn't make it too far in, only to the semi-final, and we did unfortunately lose. We didn't pick up too great of things in the packs, mainly just consumables that will no doubt get used. Towards the end of the episode, we did buy Hector Bellerin, the pacey right-back Spaniard, who is an absolute beast and one of my favourite Arsenal players. So, really keen to jump in and use him. We're going to go into Division 2. We're only one division away from Division 1, which is absolutely awesome considering we've had a pretty good run so far. We've won all the titles bar one, but this is going to start to get real hard now. So we're going to jump in and try and get our first win in Division 2. But not going to hold our breath because it's going to be hard. In the first game, we do come up against a really nice 100 chem side. It's a Barclays Premier League side. He's got Sanchez up front in the left forward position with Aguero and De Bruyne sitting behind him. Absolutely insane team. I knew from looking at this that it was going to be a hard game, and it was nonetheless. Although we did manage to get the break on goal first and get the first goal, which was an absolutely phenomenal thing to do considering this guy was a very, very good player, and he was a lot better than myself, although we had a pretty good game. We had the chances there to tuck this game away, but it wasn't going to come easy. I had to work really hard to try and stay in this game, and unfortunately he managed to get a pretty crappy goal from a bad bit of play by myself, where I do pass it straight back to him and he smacks it home, although the keeper should have technically stopped it, but nothing you can do. I tend to concede a lot of goals like that by shitty clearances out of the midfield, but it does take us to half-time at 1-1. Which isn't a bad result because this guy is a good player, but as you'll see by the stats, it probably should have been a little bit more in my favour as we did have a lot more shots. And by a lot more I only mean 2, mind you, sorry about that. But pass accuracy was alright. We had a pretty good half. We're going to hop into the second half and try and secure the win in Division 2. It was a very frustrating second half as I found a lot of the through balls he did seem to break through the lines of defence, as you'll see in the next play where he does happen to get a second goal. I was very frustrated in the fact that defence kept pulling themselves forward or just standing there and watching the through balls happen rather than actually do anything. And I felt pretty hard done by losing this game. I thought at least it would be a draw because we had a lot of chances in the game to actually secure it and win it. But the shots seemed to just go all over the shop and didn't seem to be able to get one home. Welbeck and Rajicki were really frustrating this game. They had the bulk of the shots them to themselves, and they just couldn't seem to get him home, and it was just very frustrating. Unfortunately, that does mean we do get our first loss in Division 2 as our first game, which isn't good because it puts us on a bit of a hard foot to go on for the rest of the season, as we need to obviously get as many points as we can to be able to get promotion. I don't imagine title winning will be something that happens this division. At most, just promotion, I reckon, but especially starting off from that loss, it's going to really put us in a tough situation to go ahead and win it. But we're going to fix up the team and jump into the second game, and hopefully we can pick up one win for the episode and at least have one win to our name. Second game, we do come up against another nice 100 chem Bundesliga side. Very sweaty and skillful in the likes of Schürrle and Bellarabi up front. Thiago sitting behind them with Kagawa and Goetze. I knew I was going to be in for a tough game in this one, and a tough game it was. This guy was very, very skillful in the way that he played. He didn't defend all too well. He dived into tackles he probably shouldn't, as you'll see in the clips later on. Again, it was another game where we had the bulk of the chances but couldn't seem to get them home. And as you can see by this clip here, only 12 minutes in, 2 chances. First one probably shouldn't have gone in, but that second one definitely should have. And it was very frustrating. I was getting mad. I did happen to break another controller, and it was thanks to this game. But when this guy counter-attacked or went up in the forward half of the pitch, he was very dangerous. Often I only got to him with the last man, or his shot was just very inaccurate. But first goal he does get, I was very frustrated at. As you can see, I felt that tackle was a foul, but not only that, but Cech tripped over on pretty much thin air, as you'll see in the second replay that I put in there. Cech for some reason lying on the ground, which means Thiago has an open net, and not only I don't know if that was really a foul. I felt like it was at the time, but now looking at it, I don't really think it was. But for some ungodly reason, Cech was laying on the floor, and I do not know why, which unfortunately puts us 1-0 down. But when it came to free kicks and goalkeeper kick-ins, he always played it short, which always made it really predictable on how to read the ball of where he's going to pass it and how to intercept it. And that, fortunately enough, did give the goal to Giroud, which does put us 1-1 back in the game. But again, not too later, he does break on with a really nice passing bit of play for his team. And Javier Hernandez slots it home. But then the game kind of turns on its head here when as I said, this guy was very stupid in the way he tackled, doing silly slide tackles. If he just held back a little bit and thought about what was going on, he probably wouldn't have given away penalties, but he did give that one away, and I did manage to slot it home with Cazorla to make it 2-2, which is absolutely phenomenal. But there's another goal before we do go into half-time, and it is another penalty from another stupid tackle of his. Now, he was raging on the headset to me about how it was unfair and the ref was doing him over and I was diving and whatnot, but you can clearly see by the plays that he was just diving into stupid tackles he really shouldn't have been diving into, and he really had only himself to blame. And as we step up for the second penalty with Cazorla, he does manage to bang the second one home as well. Same place as the last shot. I thought he wouldn't have predicted it if I went to the same place, and that was the case, as we did manage to pick it home and get another goal to put us in front just going into half time. Although I felt like at least one of those fouls probably should have been a red card because I was breaking on goal, but there's nothing you can do about it. We've got the lead at least. We just got to go into this second half and hopefully try and retain it in the second half and get our first win in Division 2. But sure enough, as I said it before, Division 2 is going to be hard, and it has been nothing but that since we started. And as we go into halftime, you'll see the stats probably didn't resemble the game too accurately. I had a lot more shots than what I obviously showed you, but they weren't really threatening. And he did have a lot of possession, but his shots that he had were very threatening and very dangerous. He was looking like more so that he was going to win. If it wasn't for the fact he gave away the 2 penalties, might not have been the case. It definitely would have been the case, but just the fact that he gave me those 2 goals easily assured the fact that we were staying into this game. And second half followed the same strides as the first. I had a lot of shots weren't going in, and he did happen to break on goal not too long to the end of the game. I managed to hold on throughout the whole half. I didn't chuck it on defensive or anything because I wanted to pack on another goal just to secure the win. But ultimately, I think that was my downfall. I should have chucked it on ultra defensive or just defensive and tried to hold out the game, but he does manage to peg one back there, which does bring it to a draw and full time. So at least we didn't start off with 2 losses. We managed to at least get 1 draw, which is only a point, and we only need 20 more off 8 games. But it's going to be a hell of a challenge. Hopefully we can at least retain division, because I really just don't want to get relegated, but I don't think that is too much of a chance because I think we're better than relegation. But you never know, we'll have to wait and see. But that is going to be the end of today's episode. So thanks very much for coming along and watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for the next one. Thanks very much, guys, and see ya.